Hey everybody, Eric here, and welcome back to another video. Now today, I gotta be honest. For many, many years, I've been wanting to do a comprehensive, retrospective video on Earthbound, talking about the game, the development, the lore, the fan community that has gone on to create their own games, merch, all this stuff. But, there's been so many people out there who have done that exact same thing. So I figured, I'm not even gonna bother. But what I am going to do is come here and give you 5 reasons why I think you should play one of the most cool, unique, and fun and interesting games of all time. Wow! Oh yeah, baby. It's Earthbound. They do say dress for the job you want, not the one you have, necessarily. Right? So anyway, let's talk about the game's story. Reason number 1 why you should play Earthbound. The story of a young boy woken up in a deep sleep by a meteor crash landing behind his house. A world where anything is possible. Characters that are incredibly unique and memorable. A tale that goes more disastrous and darker than what you can see in trailers and promo art. There's a mysterious evil lurking within the aesthetic of Earthbound, and it's up to you to stop it as a band of unlikely heroes. A bunch of kids, no less. I think every chapter is really unique and memorable in its own right. There's not really a slow moment in the game. There isn't really anything that drags, unless you're hunting for the Sword of Kings. Holy oh my god. This took me 4 hours, by the way. It was insane. The more you play and the deeper you go, the darker it gets, and it's very welcome. Earthbound is all about making you feel warm and fuzzy, and then giving you a large dose of reality on the side. Not everything is as it seems. I obviously don't want to spoil the game here as I'm trying to appeal to newer players, but trust me, if you give this game a chance, you are in for a unique and one-of-a-kind story that hasn't been repeated since its release in 1994. Reason number 4 why you should play Earthbound. The mystique, the air of the game. There's something interesting about Earthbound, and for example, in the early 90s when this game was marketed, it was marketed with the tagline of, "This game stinks." Now, look, back in the 90s, that probably would have been part of everyday lingo, or this stinks or that stinks, to describe something that's not really that great, or for example, actually smells bad. So when a game was marketed as "this game stinks," do you think anybody would have really bought into that, even if it was part of the lingo back in the day? I mean, could you imagine something being described as "it stinks" now? There's no way that you would even go anywhere near it. And honestly, that has to do with the fact that this game didn't sell very well. For example, the game sold around about 140,000 units in the US, with over 500,000 worldwide. So poor marketing led to little sales. Obviously a lot of people rave about this game, and the fact that it's so hard to find now these days. I mean, it is readily available on like eBay and stuff, but you do have to pay a premium for it, unfortunately. Speaking of things that stink, the player's guide also came with it. It had scratch and sniff stickers, some of which didn't exactly smell like roses from what I've read online. One even had a competition called Identismell, where you could mail in to Nintendo and guess the smell of this given sticker here. And if you guessed correctly, you'd win an Earthbound air freshener shaped like the mock pizza delivery man, and it smelled like pizza too. I can only wonder how much these would go for if they came up for sale online. The cries to release Mother 3 also do Earthbound a favor with obviously drumming up hype, because if you're a casual fan or a casual Nintendo fan or gamer, you've heard about Mother 3, you want to know more about it. So once you start digging deeper, you realize that Mother 3 is a part of a franchise. Earthbound is known as Mother 2 in Japan. And then you start going from there and realizing, Mother 2 or Earthbound had its own kind of issues early on in development. It nearly got canceled so many times, and famously Satoru Iwata had to step in and help with the programming of the game in order to get it to meet the release deadlines and stuff like that. So it just has its own unique mystique about the game even before it was released in Japan and in the West, of course. Reason number 3 why you should play Earthbound is the music, of course, and it's something that I don't think gets talked about nearly enough. You can't have a game like this that appears to have a cute and happy facade on the outside and not have something musically that matches, obviously, the themes of every level. I mean, if we look at Onat, for example, it's this cute, bright little area that when Ness Bebops walks around the main town, you have this upbeat track that matches. And of course, if we counter that to the very last level of the game, the Cave of the Past, there is this really weird kind of foreboding and kind of almost machine sounding soundtrack to that level. And not only that, Earthbound took a lot of influences from real life songs, even going as far as to sample them. Now obviously I can't play the samples, but there is a video that I'm going to leave down below, so check that link so you can hear real life songs that have been sampled and somehow crammed really quietly into background things. So for those of you guys who have played Earthbound before, your ears are gonna perk and be like, oh, okay, I remember that. The audio cues, if you're really keen, if you've got a keen ear and you've got a really fine ear, you can hear all these different things, these real world elements that have been either replicated or mimicked in some way throughout the soundtrack. Now, look, it's no secret that I'm a massive fan of Earthbound. I mean, look at me. I've had this particular Ness shirt and Ness hat that's very well worn for almost like 8 years now or so, or actually 8 years on the year this year. You know, my birthday cake one year was a giant Ness. I've got the original Mother 2 toys that you can only get from Japan. I've got the Ness amiibos. I've got all these things, so I guess you could say I'm a bit of a super fan. But at the same time, I also do a music project called Retro Game Remix, and my latest effort is Boundless, a musical tribute to Earthbound. This is a 12-track album that features lots of great and memorable songs from the game. And of course, I've tried to match the facade with Onett here, and you have Ness standing on the street corner. And if you look at the back of the record here, you have Ness's house. Now, similar to the game, there is a really ominous evil lurking within. And of course, I wanted to replicate that with the actual record here. So you can see the record is a translucent red vinyl with a splatter. So those of you who have played the game know exactly what I was going for when I tried to match this. So if you enjoy Earthbound and you enjoy stuff that sounds like this, go to the link down below, retrogameremix.com/store, and use code FuzzyPickles for 10% off either the Boundless vinyl or the CD, of course. And this was something that was funded through Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter copies have already started to go out, but there are limited copies left, only a handful of CDs and a handful of vinyl left. So if you want to snag something really cool and a really unique part of Earthbound history, I would love for you to grab a copy and let me know if you want it signed too, because I'm shipping all the way around the world to you from me here in Australia. So reason number 2 why you should play the game, well, I've decided to phone a friend for this one, somebody who I find to be quite knowledgeable on the topic of all things Earthbound. So to discuss the themes and overall messaging of Earthbound, here's my friend, Super Derek.
I think most of us agree that video games are art, but I would also say that story-driven games in particular are literature. And while Earthbound might be shelved under the young adult section of the proverbial bookstore, I think that this story by Shigesato Itoi, a Japanese Mark Twain of sorts, makes some really poignant statements. In a lot of RPGs, there's this trope that crops up from time to time, so often in fact that we kind of become blind to it, where the protagonists are the only ones who are actually capable of fixing any problem, large or small. And in this case, in Earthbound, it just so happens to be that the protagonists, a group of adolescent kids, are the only ones who are able to fix any of the problems so often created by the adults of the world. A major theme throughout the game is the failure of adults to take responsibility, to act responsibly, to take care of themselves or others, and instead foisting that responsibility upon the younger generation. In this case, it'd be Ness and crew, effectively just passing the buck. I think that Earthbound is pretty unique in how this theme shines through either because of, or maybe even in spite of, that humorous and quirky delivery, helping us accept the truths that we didn't want to hear. I may be overanalyzing things, but with Shigesato Itoi at the helm, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if this theme was intentional, and it may be worth giving Earthbound a playthrough to see what other messages and themes you can pick out.
Thanks so much, Super Derek, for the thoughtful and thought-provoking information on the themes and messaging in Earthbound. If you want a really comprehensive and great retrospective series of videos on Earthbound and Mother 1 and 3, please go check out Super Derek. You can find the link in the description of this video. Go check him out. He's a fantastic friend of mine, and he was really gracious to donate his time today for reason number 2 why you should play, which is themes and messaging. So reason number 1 why you should play Earthbound is accessibility. For years and years now, there really have only been two ways to play Earthbound, one of which is a physical cartridge, which of course is now steadily rising in price and almost unattainable to certain people. I mean, look at a physical box, the big box version of Earthbound on eBay. I think minimum is going for around about close to $5,000 Australian, which is my local currency here. Or other people have played via the 7 Seas, if you know what I'm saying. And a lot of people I know have played it that way purely because the physical cartridge has been cast away in the unattainable category for many years now. I mean, a lot of people who have played Smash Brothers throughout the years probably saw Ness as some random looking kid who's come from like a Pokemon game or Charlie Brown for that matter. And that's, again, stems from the reason that, you know, Earthbound just never sold well at all. And since then, it's hit cult status, and Ness has become a very popular character, not only in Smash Brothers, but through Earthbound and Earthbound tribute games and all that stuff. So Nintendo porting Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings now to the Nintendo Switch has really opened up a lot of doors and a lot of possibilities for people who are new to the series or are curious about the series or are even fans of JRPGs and RPGs who are wanting a really new and fresh and unique experience that's not available anywhere else. You can't replicate the feeling of Earthbound anywhere else, even if there are other games that try to imitate or replicate what Earthbound does or did. So of course, with over 101 million units sold now, the Nintendo Switch is a very popular console, and it's a console that Earthbound is now available on, and I couldn't be more excited. So that being said, please go give Earthbound a shot. I think it's such a great game, such a unique and special game in my heart, of course, and many gamers' hearts around the world. Let me know what you think if you decide to play it. Let me know if you're on the edge of playing it. If you haven't played it yet, I hope this video convinces you to go get your Switch and go play the game. Massive thanks again so much to Super Derek for donating his time. Please go subscribe to him. Link is in the description. He talks about a lot of JRPG stuff and even has his own podcast now dedicated to JRPGs and RPGs called Hit Points. You should definitely go check that out. Aside from that, make sure you do all the usual stuff. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos that come out. I'm trying to grow the channel as best as I can this year, and I would really love your support to try and make something special of all of this. So, hey, thanks so much for watching. Take care and have a great day. We'll catch you on the next video.